Hi everyone, it's Victoria Kennedy, medium clairvoyant from Los Angeles, California. And I wanted to kind of touch bases tonight on the aspects of friends. Of when do you finally say, okay, I'm done? Or when do you stop being their punching bag or their emotional support friend? How far do you allow that to go until you say, okay, no more? One of the things that happens is that we all want to be here for our friends, right? I mean, I know that I do. I wish I could help my friends in every which way possible, but it's totally impossible. I said this before and time again that we're all here to learn a lesson. This is a school. Earth is literally a school. So we either have the school of hard knocks or we have the school of, hey, you know what? This is a pretty easygoing school where I'm learning I'm creating. But then sometimes we have those friends, and I know I'm not the only one. We have those friends who think that I'm their emotional support friend. And don't get me wrong, I really don't want to sound like a jerk. But yes, I know it's really hard for me not to really sound like a jerk in this one. But there comes a time when you just have to put your foot down and say, okay, enough's enough. I've given you all the support that I can. I've given you all the tools that I can possibly think of so you can kind of better yourself in the situation that you're in. But then they end up getting upset because you don't want to have those emotional support conversations with them anymore. How can you continue on having a friendship with someone who just wants and wants and wants and wants all of your time, all of your energy, and when they call you up, it's always a one-sided conversation? I have a really good friend of mine. I've known him for years, but let me tell you, when I talk to him, when he calls me, and sometimes I want to give him a call to be like, hey, how's it going? I mean, we all know having a friendship is definitely a two-way street, right? It's just a relationship, but it's just more on a friendship level. So when I call him and I just want to check in, hey, how are you doing? How's life treating you? Just having normal friends conversation, it never ends up that way. I will get in maybe 5 seconds worth of any type of topic or conversation that I want to talk about or just bring up, and it just goes from that 5 seconds straight into his everyday topic. And it's the same thing all the time. There's been several times where I had to stop him and say, I'm not asking you that. So let's kind of scale back and, kind of get back to the conversation of that particular topic that we were talking about. But somehow, some way, his conversation goes from point A all the way to Z. And it stays at Z. And it's gotten to the point where I don't want to call him. I pretty much don't want to have anything to do with him. And like I said, I mean, I've known him for years and I feel really, really bad, but we all put ourselves in certain situations, in certain predicaments. And I just kind of got to the point where I had to just stop and say, okay, enough's enough. There'd be times that he would call me, and this is how bad it had gotten. He would call me, not even, hey Vic, how's it going? Hey Victoria, how's it going? Nothing. As soon as I picked up the phone and I said, hey, and I couldn't even say, like, hey Tom Jones, I couldn't even get his first name in. And he just immediately started. And I would literally have to put my phone down. I'd put my phone down. I would continue on doing whatever it is that I was doing. And he never even knew that I really was not paying attention. He never knew that there was times my son wanted to tell me something and I would put him on mute. And it's not as if I had to truly pay attention, Because again, the conversation was always the same topic, day in and day out. So, like I said, as much as I really wanted to be there for him, I could no longer do it energetically. There's times I was totally just tapped out from having a 5-minute conversation. Well, not even having a conversation, me just listening. And that was when I made that conscious decision, like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not getting anywhere with this friendship, right? I mean, come on, who wants to have a friendship with someone who is just all about them? Me, 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 me. We all have bad days. And I'm sure, like when we call our friends, maybe we want something to talk to them about. Maybe we just have a general question. Maybe that's what it is. But we cannot ask them anything because it just immediately goes to them. You'll ask them a quick question, and then immediately goes, like, they'll just answer your question, yes, I think you should, and bam, right back to them. So how long do you give yourself until you say, okay, I'm not doing this no more? And we all have a friend like this. You cannot tell me that you don't. We all have that emotional support friend, right? Like, they call us for everything. And when they begin their conversation with us, instead of getting to the nitty gritty, they have to begin all the way from the time they woke up and give you step by step. I opened my eyes. I was laying in bed. I stretched. I didn't want to get up, but I forced myself to get up. I walked really slow down the hallway because that's how lazy I was. And it just continues on and on and on. So a 1-minute explanation takes them an hour. Now, I have readings going on constantly throughout the day. If I'm not doing readings and I'm clearing, or I'm doing something else, I'm with my family, I'm with my son. And I made it a point where I don't even take his call when I'm with my family. It's gotten to the point where I just don't want to have those conversations. And do I feel bad? At the beginning I did. But now I don't. And, he'll send me stupid things. Stupid things that we all send our friends. That are so stupid that it's funny, right? Like dumb memes. And they're funny. Reels from Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, whatever it is. And they're like I said, they're so dumb that they're funny. But now when I actually get any type of a text message from him, I don't even read him anymore. I don't know, but of anything that he sends me. I mean, I've gone pretty much completely silent on him because of that. And then my son actually was the one who made me realize. He said, Mom, you're giving this person too much of your time, of your attention. And another good point that he even made to me was, is he a friend or is he a client of yours? And that's what actually got me thinking. And that's when I said, you're absolutely right. Because even though we're friends, he has access to me 24/7. I have not set those boundaries. And it's going to be common. People are always going to ask me something, right? Something spiritual, which I'm used to. It'll be a question here or a question there from any of my friends. Or even if I'm just somewhere with one of my clients and we're having, I don't know, tea or coffee or something. Of course, I'm always going to ask questions. It's curiosity. Why not? I'm sitting right there. But that's a totally different story. I mean, those boundaries are there, right? But when my son said that, it made perfect sense. I never instilled those boundaries with him. So it kind of gets to the point of, okay, well, do I need to have him book a session? Do I need to have him pay me? Like, I have no idea. But I can say that I have done so much work for this particular person. And I've never once asked for any type of compensation. And why? Because we're friends. I've known him for so long. I mean, I just can't even begin to tell you how long I've known him, because I just known him for years. It's like he's always just been a part of my life, basically. So once I kind of took back that energy and I put up those boundaries, those walls, it was so nice. Actually, it is nice. I don't have those calls where they're just sucking the energy out of me. And again, we all want to be here for our friends. Don't get me wrong. We all do. And we all have good days. We all have bad days. We all have that friend who we're going to call, depending on what's going on, right? You're going to have a friend who you're going to call if you're just having a horrible, horrible day. You're going to have that friend who you're going to call to complain about your boyfriend or your girlfriend about. You're going to have that friend who you're going to cry to because maybe your relationship kind of is on the outs. But you know your boundaries, and that's so important. I've learned so much from him that when I call people, and I don't call anybody to complain, I act because I choose not to do that because I have my wife. If I want to complain, if I want to bitch, if I'm having a bad day, or I just want to hug, whatever it is, a client pissed me off, whatever it is, I just go to my wife. My wife is the one, I swear, she's like my diary. Okay? She knows when I'm upset. She knows when I'm irritated, when I'm frustrated. She knows when I just don't want to go. I don't want to be there. I don't want to have to deal with this person. So she's my everything. She's my rock, basically. So how do you take care of that situation? How do you stop from going to constantly giving yourself, giving, until you say, okay, I'm done with this. I am so done with this. We have this term where we call people vampires in the metaphysical world. And I'm pretty sure probably just in general. But a vampire, all they do is pretty much suck the blood from you. So when you have these people who drain you, they're sucking the energy from you. You see them, and you know that it's going to be some type of emotional, I don't know, something emotional. It's going to come to par. You know that you just can't have a normal conversation. How do you go about that? How do you go about into protecting your energy from putting up those walls, those boundaries? Because boundaries are really, really important. And like I said, my son, who is 16 years old, he's the one who brought it up to me. Would I have eventually figured it out? Honestly, I have no clue. Was I already tired of having these everyday conversations with him? Absolutely. Until, like I said, my son was like, what is he? Is he a friend or is he a client? And I had to give my son a lot of credit, because my son was one who opened my eyes. I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I have to stop being there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for him. I'm giving him all the tools which would help him to deal with everyday life, with everyday problems, with everyday situations. But he has chosen not to follow through. There's always an excuse of, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. What do you mean you don't have time? You're sending me reels from Instagram and Facebook and from TikTok, but you don't have time to take at least a minute of your time to journal, to write down your everyday problems? Because if he's doing that to me, then he's doing it to other people. And little by little, he's going to have no one. And it's not because we don't want to listen, just that there's an overload. You can't complain about the same situation or talk about the same situation to the point where everyone is just pretty much silent, because you've had the same advice over and over and over and over and over and over and over. There's plenty of times when I just wanted to tell him, bro, just shut the you know what up. But I didn't. And I would never tell him that. I would never tell anybody that. I would just get up and leave. Like, I'm done. Because when I'm done, I'm completely done. If I am done with a relationship, I'm just done. It's just wiping your hands clean. Okay, I'm done. I'm gone. I've always been like that. I can totally cut off my emotions very, very quickly. And I feel it's gotten to that point with him. So always remember to protect your energy, to have those boundaries. And if you don't want to talk to a friend, if you feel you're obligated to talk to a friend, you're not. You're not obligated to talk to anyone. You're not obligated to be somebody's therapist. You're not obligated to be somebody's emotional support friend. You're not obligated to be anyone's friend, to be honest with you. There's so many lessons, life lessons, right? That, you know, the whole thing is, what did you learn from this person? Because, again, we're in school, right? Earth is a school. And I can honestly tell you, I have learned absolutely nothing. Aside from not wanting to be in that predicament, in that situation. That's what I've learned. I've learned how to admit fault when something is unraveling, right? But again, the tools are there. Your friends are telling you this is in your best and highest interest. If you journal, if you ground, if you meditate, I mean, it just goes on and on. But it's never done. So, again, pulling back and just having my energy, within my sacred space, which is my energetic field. And it's not difficult for me to become energetically drained. And if somebody is draining me to the point where I am tapped out, I need to go to bed, then they're doing it to other people as well. So remember, friendship has to be both ways. It has to be both ways. It can't just be a one type of relationship. It's a give and take. It's a friendship. Friendships are supposed to be fun. Go out, talk about stupid stuff, come home, laugh about stupid stuff later on. That's what friendships are. Friendships are to have those memories of, OMG, I can't believe we did this. I just cannot believe it. And have those laughs with your friend or with your friends. So always remember to protect your boundaries, to protect your energetic field. And again, you're not obligated. You are not obligated to be somebody's therapist, to be somebody's, like I said earlier, emotional support friend, because it is draining. It's very, very draining. And if you feel that you have a friend like that, well, you have to ask yourself, do I want this as a friendship? Because again, we are all here to learn. And sometimes friendships are very long term. Sometimes friendships are short term. I've known people to come into my life just for one learning, one teaching, and then several months later we don't even talk anymore. So always remember to protect your energetic field and never feel obligated. Even if you're the godmother of their children, never ever feel obligated. I don't know why, but I just had to put that out there in regards to, the godchildren. This is your life. This is your world. This is your canvas. This is your painting, your whatever it is that you're choosing in this life. So, again, protect that energy, because that energy is very, very sacred. Very sacred. And it took me years until I somehow never realized it until my 16-year-old son told me about that. Remember, friendship, it's not a one-way, it's a two-way street. You scratch their back, they scratch yours back. All right, everyone. Have a great night.